Most 20-year-olds are broke, not because they spend too much, but because nobody ever showed them what to do with the money they have. Here is the truth. The single most powerful financial move you can make at 20 is not getting a better job. It is not cutting your coffee budget. It is starting to invest, right now, with whatever you have. And in this video, I am going to show you exactly why, with real numbers, so you can see for yourself what the difference looks like between starting at 20 versus waiting until you are 30. Let's get into it. Part 1. The one concept that changes everything. It is called compound interest, and Einstein allegedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. Here is how it works in plain English. You invest money. That money earns a return. Then that return earns a return on top of itself. And then that return earns a return. Over and over, year after year. The longer it runs, the faster it grows. The key word is time. And at 20, you have more of it than almost anyone else in the room. Let me give you a number that will make this real. If you invest just $200 a month starting at 20, and you earn an average annual return of 10%, which is roughly the historical average of the U.S. stock market, by the time you are 60, you will have $1.2 million. $1.2 million from $200 a month. Now here is the number that should keep your friends up at night. If your friend waits until they are 30 to start doing the exact same thing, $200 a month at 10%, they will have $450,000 by 60. Same amount invested every month. Same return. The only difference is 10 years. You end up with almost 3 times more money, just by starting a decade earlier. That is the power of compound interest. And that is why starting at 20 is one of the greatest financial advantages you can give yourself. Part 2. Why ETFs and not individual stocks. Now let's talk about where to actually put the money. You have probably heard people talk about picking stocks, buying Apple, buying Tesla, trying to find the next big thing before everyone else does. Here is the problem with that. Even professional fund managers, people with Ivy League degrees and Bloomberg terminals and teams of analysts working for them, fail to beat the market consistently over time. Study after study shows that over a 10 or 20-year period, the majority of actively managed funds underperform a simple index fund. If the pros cannot do it reliably, the odds are not in your favor either. So instead of trying to pick winners, you buy the whole market. That is what an ETF does. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. When you buy one share of an ETF, you are instantly buying a tiny piece of hundreds or even thousands of companies at once. You are diversified from day one. If one company tanks, it barely moves the needle because you own so many others. The most popular ETF in America is the SPY, which tracks the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is an index of the 500 largest companies in the United States. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Berkshire Hathaway. When you buy SPY or a similar fund like VOO or IVV, you own a slice of all of them. The S&P 500 has returned an average of roughly 10% per year over the last century. There have been crashes, there have been corrections, but over the long run, it has always recovered and continued climbing. That is what you are betting on, not one company, not one CEO, not one product. You are betting on the American economy as a whole. And historically, that has been a very good bet. Part 3. The numbers broken down. Let me show you a few different scenarios so you can find yourself in one of them. Scenario 1. You invest $100 a month starting at 20. At 10% average annual return, by age 30, you have $20,000. By age 40, you have $76,000. By age 50, you have $206,000. By age 60, you have $530,000 from $100 a month, less than the cost of a gym membership and a streaming service combined. Scenario 2. You invest $300 a month starting at 20. By age 60, you have $1.6 million. Scenario 3. You invest $500 a month starting at 20. By age 60, you have $2.6 million. Now compare all of those to someone who waits until 30 to start investing $500 a month. They end up with just under $1 million by age 60. You started at 20 with $500 a month and you have $2.6 million. They started at 30 with $500 a month and they have $1 million. You have $1.6 million more from the exact same monthly contribution, just because you started 10 years earlier. This is not theory. This is math. And the math does not care about your excuses. Part 4. Where to actually open an account. You do not need a financial advisor. You do not need a broker in a suit. You can start today from your phone in about 10 minutes. The most popular platforms for young investors in America right now are Fidelity, Vanguard, and Charles Schwab for more traditional brokerage accounts, and apps like Robinhood and Public if you want something more beginner-friendly. For most 20-year-olds, the best starting point is a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is a retirement account where you invest after-tax dollars, and your money grows completely tax-free. When you withdraw it in retirement, you pay zero tax on the gains. Zero. On potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in growth. In 2024, you can contribute up to $7,000 per year to a Roth IRA. That is just under $600 a month. If you max that out every year from age 20 and it grows at 10%, you are looking at well over $3 million by retirement. Inside your Roth IRA, you can invest in ETFs by VOO, which tracks the S&P 500 through Vanguard and has an expense ratio of just 0.03%. That means for every $10,000 you have invested, you pay $3 a year in fees. It is almost nothing. Open the account. Set up an automatic monthly contribution. Buy VOO or a similar S&P 500 ETF. And then do not touch it. That is the whole strategy. It is boring, it is simple, and it works. Part 5. What this looks like compared to your peers. Let me paint you a picture of two people, both 20 years old, both making the same income. Person A hears this video, opens a Roth IRA this week, sets up a $200 automatic monthly investment into VOO, and forgets about it. Person B says they will start investing when they have more money. They say that at 22, and at 25, and at 28. They finally open an account at 30 because a coworker mentions it at lunch. At 40, person A has roughly $90,000 in their account without adding a single extra dollar. Person B has just started a decade late. At 50, person A has $240,000. At 60, person A has $600,000 from that same $200 a month. Person B, starting at 30, ends up with $226,000. Person A has nearly 3 times more wealth. They did not earn more. They did not grind harder. They did not take on more risk. They just started earlier. That gap does not just show up in a retirement account. It shows up in options. The freedom to leave a job you hate. The ability to take a risk on a business. The confidence that comes from knowing you have a foundation beneath you while your peers are starting from zero in their 30s. Starting early is not just a financial advantage. It is a life advantage. Part 6. The objections you are probably making right now. I know what some of you are thinking. I do not have $200 a month to spare. Fair. Start with 50. Start with 25. The amount matters less than the habit. Getting in the market at any amount is infinitely better than waiting until the amount feels comfortable, because that day rarely comes on its own. Some of you are thinking the market is too risky right now. It is always risky right now. In 2001, people said that. In 2008, people said that. In 2020, people said that. Every single time the market recovered. Every single time the people who stayed invested came out ahead. The people who waited for it to feel safe missed the recovery entirely. Some of you are thinking you need to understand investing better before you start. You do not. You need VOO and a Roth IRA. That is it. You can learn more as you go. But waiting until you feel ready is just procrastination dressed up as responsibility. Final thoughts. At 20, you have something that no amount of money can buy back. You have time. Every month you wait is a month of compounding you will never get back. Not next year. Not when you graduate. Not when you land your first real job. Right now. Open the account this week. Put in whatever you can. Buy an S&P 500 ETF. Set it to automatic. And let time do the rest. Your 60-year-old self will look back at this moment as one of the best decisions they ever made. If this helped, subscribe. Every week, this channel covers the money moves most people learn 10 years too late. Share this with a friend who needs to hear it. And drop a comment below telling me if you are already investing or just getting started. Let's go.